Imagine this. Two mighty empires clash in a war so short, most soldiers barely had time to load their rifles. A conflict where one side's victory was decided before breakfast. On a beautiful tropical island, the sun rose on what should have been an ordinary morning. But by 9:40 a.m., history had been rewritten in the most absurd way possible. Welcome to the 38-minute war, England's fastest victory and the shortest war ever recorded. How did it happen? And why does this forgotten chapter still blow minds today?
In the late 19th century, Zanzibar wasn't just an island. It was a glittering paradise of spices, ivory, and untold wealth. Cloves filled the air, dhows crowded the harbor, and the Sultan ruled over a cosmopolitan stone town where Arabs, Africans, Indians, and Europeans mixed. But beneath the beauty lurked darkness, a thriving slave market that supplied plantations across the region. For Britain, Zanzibar was a strategic prize in the scramble for Africa. Through treaties and pressure, they turned it into a protectorate. The sultans were allowed to sit on the throne as long as they danced to London's tune. Pro-British rulers kept the peace, abolished slavery gradually, and kept trade flowing. It was empire by influence rather than outright conquest, until one fateful day shattered the delicate balance.
On August 25, 1896, Sultan Hamad bin Thuwani, a reliable British ally, died suddenly at age 29. The timing raised eyebrows. Poison? Natural causes? Conspiracy theories swirled immediately. Before the British could even react, his nephew, the ambitious and defiant Khalid bin Bargash, seized the moment. Just hours after the death, Khalid moved into the palace with his supporters, proclaiming himself the new sultan. He'd barricaded the grounds and raised his flag. This was no quiet succession. It was a bold power grab, a direct challenge to British authority. The British consul was furious. They had already chosen their preferred successor, the more compliant Hamad bin Mohammed. Khalid's move wasn't just disrespectful. It threatened the entire carefully constructed system of control in East Africa. The British didn't waste time. Warships were already positioned in the harbor, a show of force that had always worked before. Rear Admiral Harry Rawson commanded a formidable squadron, cruisers, destroyers, and gunboats bristling with modern artillery. They issued Khalid a clear ultimatum: vacate the palace, lower your flag, and surrender by 9 a.m. on August 27, or face the consequences. Khalid, surrounded by around 2,800 loyal fighters, many armed with outdated rifles and a few cannons, made a fateful decision. He refused. Perhaps he believed the British were bluffing. Perhaps he thought international pressure or German support would save him. Or maybe it was pure defiance, a young ruler refusing to bow to foreign masters on his own soil. As the deadline approached, tension gripped Stone Town. Locals evacuated. Defenders manned positions. The British crews prepared their guns. What happened next would shock the world. 9:02 a.m. The ultimatum expired. Admiral Rawson gave the order. British guns roared to life. Shells screamed across the harbor, slamming into the palace. Wood splintered. Fires erupted. The Sultan's yacht, the Glasgow, was hit and began sinking. Defenders fired back desperately, but their shots were ineffective against the modern naval barrage. For 38 relentless minutes, the bombardment continued. The palace, once a symbol of power, was reduced to rubble. Smoke filled the sky. Casualties mounted on the Zanzibari side, while the British suffered almost none. At 9:40 a.m., the Zanzibari flag was lowered. Khalid fled to the German consulate, seeking asylum. the guns fell silent. The shortest war in history was over before most people had finished their morning tea.
The victory was total and humiliating for Khalid. Hundreds of his supporters lay dead or wounded. Britain installed Hamoud as sultan, a puppet who would cooperate fully. Slavery was soon fully abolished. British influence deepened, turning Zanzibar into a stable, if subdued, protectorate that lasted until independence in 1963. Khalid eventually faced exile and trial. The palace was rebuilt, but the old independent spirit was gone. For Britain, it was a cheap, swift demonstration of imperial might, a warning to any other challengers in Africa. Yet it also highlighted the arrogance and brutality of the era. The 38-minute war seems almost comical today, a footnote in the grand sweep of history. But it reveals so much: the speed of modern naval power, the fragility of colonial arrangements, and how one man's ambition could spark and end a war in the blink of an eye. It reminds us that history isn't always long sieges and epic battles. Sometimes the most extraordinary events are the shortest. In our world of rapid conflicts and instant news, this bizarre episode feels eerily relevant. What other impossible events are hiding in the history books? The 38-minute war, England's fastest victory, history's shortest conflict, a story of hubris, power, and one unbelievable morning. If you loved this deep dive into forgotten history, like, subscribe, and comment. What other short but insane events should we cover next? Thanks for watching. See you in the next chapter of history.